Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So today, I'm going to go for an article titled, Why Can't I Be a Feminist and Have a Boyfriend Too? Now, this article is written by a woman who, as you can imagine, is exactly what I just said, and she's having a very hard time keeping boyfriends. Big surprise there. And so this whole article is about her wondering why and talking about, her views on things and where that came from and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm doing this, guys, is that you're going to encounter, a lot of you guys that are younger, I'd say in college, 20s, and also 30s, you're going to encounter a lot of women that are like this. A lot of women that they drank the pink Kool-Aid and they have these views. And to be honest with you, they're a giant pain in the ass to deal with. And so I want you to hear that from her side, what she's talking about here and so forth. So that way then you know exactly what you're going to deal with if you get sucked into dating one of these women or in a relationship or anything like that. Now, given the audience that follow me here on this channel, the odds of that happening are pretty slim. But I want you guys to be able to, your radar to be so good that you can pick out these women in a heartbeat, and that way you don't waste your time, your money, any of that. For you guys that are dating, of course. And also, I had a couple friends in the last, about 6 years ago, two guys I trained in martial arts with, and they both started dating women just like this. They were good looking. Both these girls were in their mid-20s, so in their prime. They were good looking, especially the one. And these guys, they didn't really know any better, and they started dating them. And the next thing you know, they got sucked in by their looks and certain aspects of their personality, and then the true colors came out. And it was all this drama. There was all this preaching about you-know-what-ism and equal rights and things like that. And it felt like the girls were always keeping score on, everything was 50-50 and all this unnecessary crap. And these guys got really worn down and sick of it. And eventually, one of them ended up cheating on one of the girls, and the other one, he ended up moving in with her, and it was just a disaster. He was miserable and just got out after a few months, and that was the end of that. So I want to help you guys not get stuck in those situations here. And plus, this is entertaining as hell to read. But before I get into this article here, I'm going to read to you the bio of this woman writing this article, because you're going to see just by me reading her bio, the first couple of sentences will sum up exactly the type of person she is and why she's alone and why she can't maintain any kind of relationship until she gets a major attitude adjustment. So in terms of the bio, it's brief. It says here, her name is Jessie Collin from New Zealand. It says, Jessie Collin is a human being living inside a biologically female body in Auckland, New Zealand. Right there. That says it all, because obviously she chose what was written here. She writes in order to temporarily shed her skin and connect with others. She is a fun-loving feminist and the organizer of some I'm using code at this point, guys, Femme Club Nights, a music event series that raises funds for people in need. And it says here, a fun-loving femme. I've never met a fun-loving femme ever. I've met angry ones with absolutely no sense of humor. It says Jessie earns money by writing junk ads. She does many other kinds of writing for love, free. Jessie says that in the future, the robots will be your children, and body image is the great antagonist of our age. So just in that paragraph, it pretty much sums up her personality here. So big surprise why she's alone and can't maintain a boyfriend. So without further ado, I will get into the article here. Again, the title is, Why Can't I Be a Femme and Have a Boyfriend Too? Starts off saying, is it possible to be a femme and have a long-term live-in boyfriend? No. Those of us who think femmes as man-haters would likely say, of course you can't. Of course you can't. Being a femme makes you as romantic as a freshly squeezed boil. These people may not have a clear idea of the many attitudes and concepts encompassed by F3minism. Yes, they do have a very accurate of modern femmes. For those who prefer same-sex partners, femme and romantic relationships seems to have more room to breathe, but like me, heterosexual women may discover how difficult it can be to mix F3minism with cis romantic relationships. I had always considered myself an equalist, meaning I just want men and women to be equal. Dear God, I was clueless. I didn't realize just how unequal things were or how much work feminism had yet to do. But one dark and stormy night, I read a book that caused me to shred my equalist robe like a 1950s movie star, about to leap off a high diving board at a midnight pool party. It started with a very cool rooftop party, not a pool party, at the Auckland Art Gallery. The scorching antipodean summer sun was making me feel very uncool. Imagine my relief when I stood in the shade for a moment and chanced to have an interesting conversation with a man who worked in gender equality for the Austrian government. Oh, I'm sure he was exciting. A month later, the summer heat broke with a storm. I was on my couch reading the book by Laurie Penny that the Australian gender equality representative had recommended to me. Thanks, mate. You may have either saved or ruined my life. I still don't know which. Well, given what I'm about to read here and her attitude, it's he pretty much, I wouldn't say he ruined her life, but he set her on the course of her ruining her own life with her attitude. Or how you say, over-the-top attitude. She says, a book can change everything. For me, this one did. I became a dedicated femme. What's more, I realized my latent feminism had been the source of most of my problems in my long-term romantic relationships with men. Big surprise. As I read, my heart started pounding, my mouth went dry, and my face flushed pink. Although I don't know if that's exactly true because I didn't look in the mirror. I became the kind of excited I get when I fall in love or hear something that's 100% true. Both things had happened. I had fallen in love with the author's revelatory energy, and I had found out something 100% true about myself. I had found out that one of the major reasons I seemed unable to have lasting relationships with men was this. I didn't fit the image of ideal womanhood that men are constantly being sold and women are constantly buying into. Oh, exactly what is that? That maybe ideally, by nature, men are going to be more masculine and driven, ambitious and tough and strong and assertive and all that. And by nature, women are feminine and soft and caring and loving, not ball busting, not I am woman, hear me roar, none of that crap. Is that what she disapproves of? Because I have news for her and any other woman watching this that has a problem with this. The whole I am woman, hear me roar thing and I'm so strong. It is the biggest turnoff to men. Unless the man happens to be extremely feminine and weak himself, probably raised by a domineering mom just like this woman. Goes on saying, the vast majority of men feel they're entitled to a female sidekick. The emphasis being on sidekick, not co-hero. Co-hero. And the vast majority of women continue to fill the sidekick role, especially in their romantic relationships. Most people even assume that this is somehow the natural order of things. Yes. Women aren't the least bit liberated from the expectation to fulfill the sidekick role of getting married or being in a long-term de facto relationship by a certain age. In fact, due to the idea that women can now have it all, a concept that has become the great nemesis of Western women, an unintentional Trojan horse of second wave feminism, women feel like they should get married, birth a fleet of babies while looking fabulous, and work from dawn till the witching hour, although don't get me started on witches and what witch hunts say about attitudes towards powerful unmarried women. Well, these powerful unmarried women, based on the many articles I've read and people I've known like this, bitch and complain because they can't find a guy they consider to be suitable for them. They can't find a guy that in their mind is their equal in terms of pay, in terms of status, education, all that. And they're unhappy as hell. And a lot of these women also, they complain the only guys that they can get are the weak guys. You know, basically the beta males. Because guys that are successful and strong and have all these qualities that whether soft or masculine women want, those type of guys aren't going to be attracted to women like this because it's a gigantic turnoff, because these are straight men and they don't want to date or be involved with a woman that basically acts like a guy, that's masculine and strong like a guy. It's a turnoff. They want feminine, girly women. And so many of these types of women have a problem with that, and they end up becoming more and more bitter and angry and writing things like this, and they can't figure out why exactly they can't maintain a relationship. Why are they alone? They don't want to hear that maybe these ideas and these views by their pink heroes, maybe that's their idea that worked for them, but it doesn't exactly work for the masses. And it's turning out that, guess what, it isn't worth it or working. She goes on to say, I finished reading the book. I felt sad that the book was finished. Always that way, but always the way with a good read, and sad that I was going to have to give up men forever. Okay, I probably wasn't going to have to give up men, but what was I going to do now? My submerged F3minism, obviously you guys know what I'm talking about at this point, had been interfering with my relationships. Whenever I found a man, bit by bit, I became unhappy. I wanted shared chores, a balanced sexual relationship with my O just as important as his. I wanted him to be genuinely happy for me when I succeeded, not secretly or even openly insecure about it. I resented masculine double standards. Insert your own examples here, she says in parentheses. Why was I the one to cook most of the meals, buy the toothpaste, take out the compost, and organize the majority of dirty little domestic details? So you can see here, probably, she said here, she was probably keeping track in her relationships. Like, okay, I did this, so he should do this. And so on and so forth. Everything from chores to probably planning dates, texting, phone calls, you name it. These two guys I mentioned earlier in the video that dated these femme women, that's what they dealt with all the time. They were always preaching about equality, preaching about things like this, keeping track of making sure everything was 50-50, all this unnecessary, not to mention unnatural crap that these women have bought into. And they were miserable, and finally they got out of it. And by the way, both these women now are in their early 30s, and just by looking at them on social media, because they moved away, they don't look nearly as good as they once did 6-7 years ago in their mid-20s. And the one looked like she gained 20 pounds, and she was good looking. Nice little ass, too. Not anymore. I would always rebel, every single time. I would tell myself to accept him the way he was, or to pick my battles. But I didn't want to battle at all. Why should I nag and remind another adult? Well, don't nag at all, but that's what women do. All you guys that ever live with women know this for a fact. Now, there's a cultural chestnut, the nagging wife and avoidant husband. Mainstream TV still faithfully propagates the old trope. These boyfriends of mine actually assumed we were having an equal partnership of two adults, even when I was doing most of the emotional and physical work. Well, that's one thing that TV and movies have accurate, the portrayal of the nagging wife or nagging girlfriend. That's true. It's just, I don't know what it is. I got, let's see, as of today, 5.3% of my subscribers are women. So whatever women are watching this, maybe perhaps you can explain. You can say that yes, by nature, women nag. They do. And even if there was nothing to nag about, they'll find something to nag about. Let's be honest here. Trust me, I know. Okay, to be fair, some of my partners were generous lovers, and some were more inclined to wash the dishes than others, while some would cook but never clean. But they all had some form of patriarchal complacency. Trouble would start when I stepped outside of the gentle feminine sidekick zone and pointed out where my guy needed to step up as a human being, not as a man, just as a person in a partnership with another person. Can you imagine being in a relationship with this woman? Can you imagine the never-ending conversations about this bullshit? My God, you'd lose your mind. This is exactly why she's not going to have a guy. And looking at her picture, I'm going to guess she's either in her late 20s or early 30s. I'm pretty bad at telling nowadays, now that I'm getting older. But the older she gets, the trajectory she's on, her attitude's getting worse and worse, and her looks are going to go. So she's going to be alone. So for any women that are watching this that are like this in any way, shape, or form, understand you're not helping yourself, okay? And this whole constant preaching about these things and constant keeping track of who's doing what and so forth, you're destroying your relationship, okay? It's toast. So you got to cut that bullshit out. Unfortunately, men have been culturally raised to believe that their well-being comes first, and women have been raised to place the well-being of others, namely men and children, ahead of their own. Well, with regards to the putting the well-being of children in their own, I think that comes down to nature, because biological clock goes off, women want to have kids, even when they maybe didn't when they were younger, all of a sudden biological clock goes off, all of a sudden they want to have kids, and by nature then it's all about the kids and protecting the kid and everything. So I don't think that's just choice. I think, again, I'm a man, so maybe women can help me out here, but it seems to me that's what nature drives women to do with regards to the children. When my most recent relationship finally broke down, big fucking surprise, I understood with a huge heave of pain and sorrow that my romances only seemed to work when I stuck to the prescribed role of the beautiful, sexually available, but not to other men ever, quietly intelligent, occasionally humorous, nurturing, and patient female. You mean being feminine? The moment I showed myself to have more knowledge, pay respect, or education than he had, it would awaken a powerful masculine insecurity. Now, I'll say this, there are definitely some guys out there that are intimidated by that, but there are plenty of them that aren't. That if you have a woman that she's physically attractive and she acts feminine, but she also is smart and does well for herself, but doesn't have the I am woman, hear me roar attitude and all that, they're not going to feel insecure about her education, intelligence, success, so long as she acts feminine. But what this woman and a lot of women fail to realize, when they start putting on the I am woman, hear me roar attitude, that's when it goes. He no longer knew where to place himself in relation to me. The resultant confusion of his identity would play havoc with our love. Put the blame on the guy. The struggle was difficult to name until I read Laurie Penny's book, That Stormy Night, but the struggle was real. Truthfully, I can't be a dedicated femme and have a long-term boyfriend. It's like cocaine and baking powder. It's a mix that won't get you very high, but sometimes I hear this little voice, already regretting the drug reference, that says, "Are you sure I can't have a boyfriend and be a feminist too?" No. You can't have a happy relationship, or at least that guy is going to be happy, because if you're a femme and you're constantly preaching about inequality and all these things, if you're constantly keeping track, keeping score of everything, make sure everything's equal and 50-50, no guy wants to be with that. Not to mention, they don't want some ball-busting woman to deal with. No, the only guy that a woman like her can have is a very weak beta male. A guy that's used to being bossed around, like I said, probably had a very domineering mother, weak father, and is used to that. That's the only way. The thing is, the woman eventually will get bored of that guy, have no respect for that guy, and she'll be unhappy anyway. But my answer is, nope, you can't. Society hasn't evolved enough. So instead of putting the blame on her, maybe saying, maybe there's something wrong with me, maybe I'm taking this shit a little too far, blame men, blame society. That's the easier, more convenient route to take. Wrong. Fix yourself. We are expected to play out the gender roles we have grown up with. In my culture, the man is the leader, and he must provide for the women and children. The woman supports the provider's well-being, but we don't have to stick to these gender roles. We can all provide one another physically and emotionally, and feminism is one way to help us do it. Well, my dear, how has that worked out for you so far? Has that worked out well? Are you happy? Is there good things in your life? Or are you alone and miserable and having to write this and blame everybody but yourself for the fact that you can't maintain a relationship? My femme expectations will no doubt keep me on the outside for a lot longer. Sweetie, you have no idea how long you're going to be on the outside. A lot longer. The empirical evidence of my short life and my research in contemporary culture have left me all alone in my bed most nights. By all means, convince me otherwise. I welcome you to share this article and to help me gather anecdotes of truly equal cis relationship. Let's give this story a happy ending. Okay, I'll play along. So for her, or any women out there that are watching this video and aren't hating on me and taking this serious, if you're in this situation, if you've found that because of these views and these attitudes that you've taken on, and it's making it impossible for you to maintain a healthy relationship with a man, you need to understand that no guy wants to deal with this. It's drama. It's a different type of drama, but it's drama. No guy wants to have never-ending preaching about equality and all these things I've been talking throughout the video. They want easy and smooth. They want a feminine, girly woman. It doesn't mean you can't have success, education, things like that, make good money, but understand that we don't want to deal with that stuff. It's a turnoff. Guys don't want women that act like men. Complete and total turnoff. So the best thing I can advise to this lady writing this article, and women like that, is take a moment and remove that giant baseball bat size stick out of your butts, okay? And for once, smile, laugh, enjoy yourself, be happy, okay? Have a good time. Ease up on all this shit, okay? Life is short. Have a good time. If you want to make changes, gradual changes. There are things in life I'm passionate about. I'm very passionate and care a lot about animal rights, but you don't see me preaching about it to every single person that comes in my path. No. So nobody wants to hear that stuff. So that's my advice. So guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I will catch you next time.